And I guess that means we're live because I can see the little light. So, howdy everyone. It's Crow's Nest, No Quarter, episode 40. Have you done 40? How many episodes have we done this year, Damnation?
Well, I don't know this year, but we've had 40 episodes so far.
Cool.
there for a while when I was working on Saturdays. There was a lot of Saturdays we didn't have. So
yeah, that's true. That's true. Anyway, so howdy everyone. This one's called Bar Humbug because it's the last one before Christmas. So if you would like to join us, the link is in the YouTube chat and it's also on the Crow's Nest page because I put it there. So we may as well say hello to the huge panel of 4 that we've got tonight. So say hello, everyone, as I cough. Sorry.
Hello, everyone.
G'day, everyone. How are we?
Shane.
Hello, peoples.
Thank you. All right. So what are we talking about? Bounty? Don't make one of these shows again.
Sure.
I was there. It'll be a short conversation for me. I joined. I hit a couple bases. It was almost impossible for me to kill fucking walls, so I quit.
I had a similar experience, but I had trouble moving the map. I couldn't move the map. I couldn't click on anything. I had to refresh. I would go into a base and I would click on a turret, and the fleet would just sail right by without shooting at it. You couldn't control anything. There'd be big lag spikes, and yeah. I wrote a ticket, but I don't think it's been answered yet. I haven't really looked. Yeah, I've struggled along and ended up autoing bases because it was really hard to drive. I couldn't. It was just, yeah, it was silly. So I kept autoing and then driving the odd bigger base, and I managed to get to 20,000, and I left it there. And depending on what it is like now, I haven't hit a base since yesterday. I'm either going to leave it the way it is if it's not better, or yeah, I'm going to continue and see if I can get another 20,000 maybe. So at the moment, I'm not greatly impressed with this bounty. It's just, it was laggy, it was glitchy, and yeah. I guess it's the way the way events start out. So I'm supposed to be used to it by now, I suppose. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the bounty so far.
Well, I mean, that's the problem. We should never have to be used to it. That's the problem.
Mm.
Well, it's to be expected, I should say, maybe.
Yeah, but not enjoyable in any way, shape, or form. So, and I can't really talk about bounty for me because I've been busy and I haven't started it. So I might start it this afternoon, but we'll see how we go. It was interesting. I was just having a look at the Nexi, and yeah, there doesn't seem to be a lot of action around them. So because they're only down to 3 this time, so. There's obviously, going by this, a lot of big alliances that are either not playing or not interested in the Nexus. So,
well,
that's
I mean,
interesting.
They fucked that all up too,
because
like there wasn't any kind of payout yesterday because we always had the payout, so they decided not to do the payout on Friday and didn't bother telling anybody till Friday.
Yeah.
So, I know people who went out and spent all kinds of gold battling over the golden nexuses to get that bonus on Friday, and then here they didn't get it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this bounty has been a cluster from start to finish. I mean, you got scatter guns can't kill walls. I know my breachers, when they get hit by glacials, they just sit there and spin in a fucking circle. Price payout for the little bases is absolutely horrible. So, I can't even take out my tier 7 stuff and grind the little ones and get anywhere. And lag is terrible. I haven't been able to manually click turrets. I'm going all over. And if I happen to once in a great while be able to click one, it's my sheer dumb luck. It's been fucking terrible, dude. This is like the worst bounty I've ever seen.
And not only the Nexus is I've not seen many. I mean, there's the odd one base that lights up red, but there isn't. I've not seen any actual. I've seen one actual base. I shouldn't say. But your opponent's bases, there's not many people hitting them. I don't think there's a great deal of participation in that bounty, or they're just participating when I'm not on. That could be too.
Yeah,
but I've been collecting more res and base parts and titanium and uranium than anything else in this.
As far as me, I'm kicking through. I mean, using my breachers, I'm doing anywhere from 100s to 119s. I'm not hitting the lower targets, and I'm not hitting the top targets. But I've got 2 ballistic breachers and 1 corrosive, and I see exactly what you're talking about, that they're not doing anything to walls. It's really ridiculous. But thank goodness with the other 2, I've got them beefed up with wall damage and building damage. The siege targeting really did a big number of help on these things. I took the scope off of my ballistic ones and put the siege targeting on. And I mean, I'm hitting I just got through hitting a 117 that was actually a dead base. It didn't have no turrets or nothing in it, just warehouses and buildings. Got 875 points for it. I mean, if you wanted to, you can go out there and search for those targets. I mean, but I figured out, don't run 2 matrices in one fleet. I just got 1,000 points for a 115, but that's probably the last one I'm going to hit for a bit. It gives me a 2 hour 19 repair for, I just got run 8,000 points with 2 matrix holes. I just run 1 at a time, and then when you go out there and start hitting again, my other one's probably repaired. I've been out here hitting long enough that it's repaired. Since there's 2 repairs in this right here, I'll take the matrix now out of this fleet, put it in the second slot, and it'll repair in 24 minutes. And I'll probably here in an hour and a half get started up again to make another run. I'm sitting right at 69,000 even right now. So
that's pretty good. Hey, Damnation.
What?
Your alt's getting hit.
Okay. I don't care. I didn't expect him to get any points anyway, so I don't really care.
I can tell by the care factor in your voice.
I am
he doesn't have a guard in there. 90% of it's already built.
Anyway, go Shane. Sorry.
I'm just saying I am having to refresh a lot. You know, I mean hey, there's another 1,200 bounty. Cool. Nice. Now I'm at 70,200. Sweet. So yeah, hour and a half here. I'll be back at it again. So
my alt wasn't getting hit. I just logged into it. He's fine.
No, I just watched it.
I'm looking at it right now. My base is totally undamaged.
I just watched it.
I think you must be looking at something wrong.
Okay. Anyway, very good. So what prize are you going for, Shane, then, since you've got a pretty reasonable score?
I don't even know. I ain't even looked. I mean, that weapon, it's just stupid. Why do I want to help out the attacker?
Yeah.
I mean, the 200% combat speed, man, get out of here. I'm trying to put seawalls and cryo stuff on there to slow them down. I don't want to help them out. That weapon is just ignorant, in my opinion, as far as that goes. Now, the armors I am interested in. some for just checking stuff out. I want to take out the tactical armor, you know. And of course, I'm sure people are going to try to check it on mine too, negating all that slowdown. But I mean, it beats the hell out of me giving them 200% right off the bat to come through my base with, you know. Now and but that's about it. I mean, I ain't got no interest in collecting no extra holes or. I mean, tier 7's on the way out. I'm looking for the next best thing, I guess, you know, what's going to be available.
Yeah.
Not this older backstepping stuff. One thing I do wish they would do would like increase the amount of defense build tokens we could get and maybe offer more than 2 or 3 in these events as far as Conqueror and Defender class build tokens. I mean, that's one.
Well, we can't do that. We might break the economy if we do that.
It would have been nice if they'd have put some tactical focuses in here instead of field extinguishers. Pretty cheap though, 2,500 each. The wardens are 2,500 each. The warden is still a good defense hull, in my opinion.
Yeah, I had an offer before. I don't know if I've still got it or not. It was a you could buy a fully outfitted warden. No, it doesn't look like I've got it anymore. Which I thought was an interesting thing, and kind of more interesting was the way that it was built, because it seemed to be more like something that we would build rather than a generic kick ship. So I kind of thought that was a bit interesting.
Yeah. As far as a smaller player, the weapons would be nice, but probably kind of hard for people to get 7,000 points 4 times, much less 4 times how many they got in here, 6 weapons, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the prices on the scopes and the forces are because I've already got them. So, but if you don't have them, get those and the armors. You know, at least the number 2 armors. The number 1s are total shit now, so at least the number 2.
What I can't get over is like what was it? Last bounty that we had, which I guess at this point was what, 2 months ago or whatever. But like missile storm cruisers and onslaughts and stuff was like 1,700 points. And now the points are even harder to get for low levels. They've upped the price on the tier 7 stuff by like 1,300 points. That doesn't make any fucking sense to me.
Yeah, that don't make no sense. I didn't even notice the cost of the compared to then, you know.
Witch Doctor and Revenant and all that shit's like 3,000 points now.
Yeah, they're 3,000. I just didn't remember that they were cheaper last time or whatever, you know.
I don't think those particular ones were, but like the Onslaught and Missile Storm Cruiser were like 1,700. And let's face it, all the tier 7 stuff is in that same price range at this point, or at least it should, because it's all on its way out.
Yeah, it's on the way out. I guess I could try some of my fleets that I did up with all those tokens and some of the lower targets just to check them out, because I never really got to use my missile cruisers, and I wanted to because I like missile fleets, you know. So maybe I already at this raid.
You can use them now to get 70 points. Woohoo!
Yeah, and I'm just curious to see what the damage and all that good stuff would be on them, I guess. I mean, I never got to play with them. I got to straighten them all out and get it done. But you know, as soon as they did all that and give us all that ability, well, here's the tier 8 hull. Weren't we supposed to get to play? You know, I mean, but as it turns out, I mean, I don't know. The game's progressing, I guess, quicker than we'd like. But
I'd just love to know what kind of drugs they're smoking sometimes whenever they're coming up with these price lists.
Yeah, there's no, the consistency is like out the window.
Yeah. Well, this is the opportunity to refit those tier 7s as well, because this is the discount period still, isn't it? That's still going. Is that right?
Yeah, but to be honest, I got to do 3 days refit. How long does this last?
Yeah.
I mean, and I mean, it's
very good.
It's not something that I've noticed. Put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, I know I went to go and refit something yesterday, and I was, thinking, it'll be a day and a half, and it was 18 hours or something. I was like, what's going on here? And then I went, that's right, it's a discount period, but it's, given that there's no real tokens to go with it or anything like that, it's just, it's
enough to do probably an armor on 3 ships, 4 ships, maybe, but it's not something I've noticed. And to be honest, I'm kind of using these ships right now, so I ain't got that kind of time to put into, because I cycle ships, I'm using the support craft, but I mean, I've got 3 flagships with each of their counterparts with them, matrix fixing in some, I'm checking things out and just having some fun doing things. So it's not like I'm concentrating on refits right now. I'm playing with these holes.
Yeah, I just had a look. So it goes to the 26th. So I guess we've got a bit of time after. We've got a day after bounty finishes or something. Yeah. So
I tell you, I thought
might get some done.
I thought so much of this bounty that after I went out and I hit my first couple targets, I broke out my Xbox One, went back and retro installed all my Assassin's Creed games, went out and bought a new Assassin's Creed game. So that tells you how much I enjoyed bounty.
Yeah.
That's the first time I broke out my Xbox in like over a year.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so is there anything else you want to talk about bounty, or shall we move along? I guess we're moving along then. So I don't know where to go next because we didn't really discuss this before, but did anyone have any thoughts about the Wrong Thinker post with the volatility and the obfuscation?
I got a lot of thoughts about it.
Have you been thinking thoughts?
Apparently more than he has.
Well, share away then.
I think I shared most of them Thursday. Like, I like the battle report. I would have liked to see more detail. Like, one of the big key things that needs to be in the battle report that screws with everybody all the time is, like, we need to know minimum damage. We have these holes that it doesn't matter. Even if you could possibly get them to 100% resistance, we know for sure that we're always going to take some kind of damage. And knowing what that minimum damage number is huge, because if the battle report, is just going to be a generic, this is what you avoided, this is what you stopped, and this is what you took, I guess, is basically what it is, and maybe what you dealt out, but it's not going to break it down any. So if I see that I'm still taking, like, in the course of a battle, we'll say I'm just throwing random numbers out there. Say I'm taking like 90 million radioactive damage. Without knowing how much of that is unavoidable that I can't stop, I'm still going to be trying to stack radioactive defense, and some of it's going to be for no purpose whatsoever, because it doesn't matter how high I get it, I'm not going to be able to stop a certain amount of that damage. So unless you tell us that, to me, that battle report is not near as useful as a tool as what it should be.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how they're going to do it. I think it's going to be a useful tool. I hope everyone uses it, I'll go backwards. So I hope it's actually in a useful format that's meaningful is probably. So I am kind of optimistic with it, but I guess it depends on the delivery. So, because as we know, a lot of the times the things that are promised are delivered, maybe not the way we'd like it, or not in a particularly usable form. So I guess it's, but at the same time, I still don't want to be looking at every single battle and having to analyze something else to, get the best possible, resistance or whatever, and then, find that after you do all that, they've just gone and changed something like in a raid or something like that. Or, we've all seen targets change. So like the FM's a classic example. So, you could spend hours literally looking at battle reports to think, okay, all right, this is the refit I need to do to change it. And then all of a sudden, you've got it at the best possible way that you can get your hull to, and then all of a sudden you go into the target and, it's rooted. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the rollout, I guess.
I'm trying to find that post where he said like exactly how it was going to be broken down. Because he said there was only going to be like 3 things, if I'm not mistaken. It was going to be like damage avoided, damage taken, and there was some other thing.
Yeah.
Damage you could have dealt had you built it right. I'm sure it's going to be a great tool to be used in the game, but what I question is, do we need it right now, or do we need all the base specials sorted into some manner where we know where they are, and we can then find them to put them on our builds? I think that would have been a much better first project than the battle report, in my opinion. A lot of people are on about that you can't find the special sales. I don't know how many we got. I think it's over 200. It'd be much better if that fixed that first. But yeah, kick size, infinite wisdom. What do I know?
Avoided, negated, and taken, and that's the 3 categories.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. I'm still back to I would have much rather been a big fan of the scrolling battle report as you were in the battle itself. Like just in one, how we had the alliance chat, world chat, sector chat. You could have just had another little tab there for battle report, and you could have got live info as the battle was going on. And then at the end of the battle, you could scroll back through it and look at it if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And then it could have, like say it would say something like Phlogiston 2 deals 86,400 damage, and then it would say in parentheses, like 3,000 unavoidable or whatever. That's and that would be like, in my opinion, that everything that you would need.
Well, I hope it ain't for our bases, because I don't want people knowing exactly what my numbers are on my turrets.
Well, I didn't. I was just throwing that out as an example.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm just letting them know. I don't want them scanning my base. But on PvE targets, yeah.
Yeah, well, and I kind of guess that's what I meant. It's like, it's the delivery of it is going to be the crucial part to how useful a tool it actually is. So, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, it better only be for PvE, because if they do it for PvP, I see tons of people getting pissed off. Tons and tons of people getting pissed off.
I mean, that's the instant thing that went in my head. I mean, what? Yeah, no. I wouldn't want
See, I see that from the other angle, that they're going to want to show us the damage that we're doing to each other, not the damage that they do to us.
Yeah,
because that's that part of, not actually showing all the details. And, remember when data mining was a thing and people could actually work out what was going on in the game. So there's going to be some hidden stat, or, just something that we're not going to get the full picture of, in my opinion, because that's what they do historically. So,
well, and already by not telling us, minimum damage or whatever, they're already doing it by saying that that's not going to be in the battle report. They're already doing that.
Exactly.
They're obfuscating it.
Yes, they are.
If they were going to tell you what the minimum damage is, that would mean that they couldn't turn the knob when you do events. Because then all of a sudden it would say, oh, why is it?
But if it was in the battle report, you would be able to see when they turn the knobs.
Exactly. That's why they won't tell you. That's why they won't put it in. Because then they can't dial up the damage in the raids and make it crazy stupid hard. So,
well, and that honestly, that's what I said in the conversation. I'm like, but I know you're not going to put that number in because you don't want us to see the ridiculous amount that minimum damage we take is. Plasma. That's all I'm gonna say. Plasma.
Plasma.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was a thing, wasn't it?
Or is it called Hunter Missile Mortar or whatever it was, wasn't it?
I'm pretty sure plasma is still a thing.
It was interesting because one of the things I thought about talking about was like the 2018 in general and hits and misses. What have you enjoyed? What have you not enjoyed? All that sort of stuff, because it's been one of the other words he uses was volatility, and by golly, it's been one of those years in Battle Pirates. So,
I know me. I can only speak for myself. I'm not like some people. I don't take it upon me to speak for hundreds of other people. But I know me myself. One of the things that has really annoyed me this year is instead of trying to fix things and rebalance things, they just up and change it. That way they don't have to actually go back and do any real work to try to put things back in balance. They just change it. They're like, oh, well, we're in crazy high defensive ratings now. So instead of actually fixing this, we're just going to scrap this whole thing that you've gotten used to using for the past 7.5, 8 years, and we're going to come up with a new defense rating because I guess it's too much work to actually, fix the game that has kept everybody here for 7.5 years, 8 years, however long people have been playing. It's too much effort to actually get that back to where it needs to be. So we're just going to make you a new game and then hope you still stick around after we change every single fucking fundamental thing in the game.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I mean it's stupid that they don't even realize what they have, and it's worked for years. There's a format, it's been laid out, we've been using it. You can refer back to when it worked well, and you just keep wanting to change it. You keep changing it. It's not the same thing we that we fell in love with, like you said. I mean
that was the one statement that I saw Wrong Thinker make that just made me think, oh, this guy, I just totally don't agree with the direction he's going. Whereas when he said his definition of rebalance was to change it. Nobody asked you to come in and change the goddamn game. We asked you to come in and fix the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's been hired to do a job, so I don't know. I know we've talked about this all year, basically, but to me, it's the direction of the company rather than any particular team or any particular person, because someone above them is pulling all the strings and telling them, this is your brief, this is what we've hired you to do. So I tend to look a bit higher than each particular team, but that's just me. So
well, see, I think people above them though are more worried about the bottom line figures. They don't care how they get there, and then it's up to the team to figure out how they're going to get to those bottom line figures.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because obviously, to me, one of the biggest things this year, apart from all the hiring and firing and everything else, was Will Harbin coming out or allegedly Will Harbin coming out and, with the Long Live Battle Pirates inspirational letter to the players. So,
you mean his players' first initiative, which actually wasn't his? That wasn't even his initiative.
Yeah. So to me, that's been one of the biggest events this year, and I don't know. I haven't seen any. Well, I won't say any promises delivered, but I don't know about the way it's been delivered.
Poop, poop, poop. That's all I gotta say.
It's really hard doing this when people don't talk.
Well, when what I liked is that we got given all up in all different variety of coins, just over 3 years worth of coins. I like to be able to build a hull to my heart's content, go try it out and maybe change it. That's what I really liked. What I didn't like was that it cost that much resources and there was so little time for trial given to us that it took away from the enjoyment from the good thing they've done. So I liked it and I didn't like it, so to speak. Mm-hmm. That was the main thing for 2018 for me. Oh, shut up, dog.
One of the other big hits from the year for me was the half repair time for no reason. Obviously, that was a big thing that brought a lot of enjoyment to a lot of people.
Well, I don't know, man. I didn't know about it far enough ahead of time that I could plan my battle time game around average. My God, I can't even say that with a straight face.
I know, you might have to get over that one. But having said that, it was a big thing, and there have been. It's always hard to remember the positives rather than the negatives because it's that's what humans do. But it's been an up and down year, that's for sure. So,
there have been some other positives, like like the Dragons and the FM. That was a big positive in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things I did with the FM that were a negative, but I'll get to that when we start talking about the negatives. We're trying to look at the positives right now. I guess the being able to launch while you're on the map, I guess, was a positive, I guess. I'm not seeing for myself where it's a big deal, but I know other people tend to like it. World chat, I think, was a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sector consolidation, I guess, was kind of a good thing.
Yeah, I mean that's a good example because that went so much smoother than I think anyone expected. So, out of big events for this year, it did go down well. It was done well. There weren't any major dramas. There are a few little bits here and there that people reported, but overall, considering it's such a huge thing in this game that it did go smoothly. So,
that honestly, that was probably the most flawless thing they pulled off this year, which is kind of ironic. They can pull off something huge like that, absolutely flawless, but they can put out like a weekly update and fuck up the whole game. So
yeah. Well,
that just shows,
I'd actually go.
That shows they had the ability to do that quality control. They just don't do it.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think that's probably a bigger thing than just 1 year's worth because it was such a major change to the game that, they did do that pretty well.
I mean, they do a lot of things that are good, and people they might do 3, 4, 5, 6 things in a row that are great. Most of the players like it, and then they do one so stupid thing that everybody hates them just as much or even more than did before, and that's what they've been doing. They've been doing good things and then doing one stupid thing, and the stupid thing is so stupid that it defies description. So, and they just keep repeating that instead of not doing the stupid thing.
I know a lot of the stuff that makes people angry too is like repair times and damage we take. And I have to point out that the devs are not responsible for that part of it. That's all. You want to blame somebody for that, you can blame all of that on product. So while the devs do deserve to get sweated about some stuff, all that kind of stuff, don't sweat the devs about that, because that's not their fault.
Yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I think it goes higher than a particular team. They do have to make their money. We've all come to that realization slowly. It's not the game that it used to be, that you could still succeed. Grinding and managing to kind of keep up. Just by the amount of time you actually spend in the game. But yeah, interesting.
Well, I think you can, if you're only doing one aspect of the game. If you're only doing PvE, say for example, you can still manage to keep kind of on top of everything with spending very, very little, even no coin. But there's no way that you can possibly be on top of both aspects of the game without spending money.
Yeah. I know that's certainly what stopped my PvP, was that I had to. I still remember making the decision whenever it was, that it was like, well, this is a no-win situation, and it's not something that I'm going to bother about. So the only thing I've got left in this game now is PvE, and that's what I'm going to have to stick to. I may not. Well, I do enjoy it because I like trying to work out the targets and stuff like that. But at the same time, it would be nice to engage in a bit of PvP, because I used to enjoy fleet versus fleet so much. But yeah, I'm exactly that case, that I remember making the decision that I'm just not going to do PvP anymore and not worry about it, and just concentrate on the actual targets. So
I mean, for the most part, I refuse to spend money on PvE, except for like raid. Raid is like an exception to that rule, of course.
yeah.
But raid is like, I'll spend like 50 or 60 coins maybe, and that'll be all my expenditures on PvE. Now, if I were able to participate in PvP, I probably would spend more, but they got us so backed up by doing raids, VXP weekends, chores, TLCs, seasonal events. Like, when the hell am I supposed to fit any PvP in there, man?
Now, correct me, and I know I'm going to get this wrong, but you can be a PvE player without having to do any PvP, but you can't be a PvP player without doing any PvE, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, so you sort of almost have to do part of the other if you want to participate in PvP. You have to be.
You got to have the PvE down.
Yeah, you have to be a moderately good at PvE to get the hulls and whatnot, and yeah.
And see, that's one thing that always annoyed me when they talked about how they were going to do the separation, You didn't do any separation except saying, no, you can't use these holes to do this, and you can't use these holes to do that. That's the only separation you did. Because if you actually were separating PvE from PvP, I could get all my PvP tech and just PvP without ever having to worry about any kind of PvE. So you didn't separate anything. You just took away the ability of my holes to be able to hit certain things. That's what you did.
Well, I guess that's one of the bad things. All the chores that you just mentioned earlier. You got the FM, and you got the odd Krampus event. You got your raid, your bounty. Sometimes 2 VXP weekends. TLCs. It's crazy what you have to do just to do a little bit of PvP. and you know, it's way too much. Like if you got a job that maybe only, you know, for 8 hours, and you work on a computer, you might be able to do that. But if you're not on a computer at work, and you know, you travel to and from work, you got to do some overtime, you got to have dinner and sleep, and maybe do something with a family or friends or whatnot. There's no way you can do all that without spending a heap of coin on it to be successful in it, and that's what's wrong. They should cut that down a little bit. That would be good to see that in 19.
It's good that you went into that, but I'll probably go there in a minute because I want to see what everyone thinks that the new year is going to bring us. But does anyone have a favourite hull of 2018?
Well, can I ask something before we go on to that? Do we want to talk about the other two main categories that were in the wrong think or think? Because we really only talked about the one.
Okay, go for it.
What do you? Well, we touched on the defense percentages getting changed to hull health and defense ratings a little bit. What do the rest of you guys think about that whole concept, that whole idea? I think it's crap myself, but I want to hear what you guys think.
Well, let me go first. You all know me by now. I have got no idea what you're even talking about because I didn't read the post. So I abstained from a vote. But I'm.
Shane?
No, I didn't read the post either, so I have no idea what the whole content of it is.
You guys.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm just trying to mogue through. They've totally got me lost. It's all fucking Greek to me. It's just what is apparent is it is becoming about the money. And I mean, it does cost to stay up, I think, but it also depends on where you're at in the game. You know, I mean, if you've been ahead from all the way back when we were, you know, it could still be done at a reasonable rate, you know, but you still feel like you're behind, like you're not a top end player. But as far as somebody that's along the middle of the road and trying to strive to get up there, shit, that's a hell of a hill to climb, man.
Yeah.
Sorry to I don't want to derail this, but while Shane just said that, myself, I don't think I'm going to be current in that game much longer because I've only got I got 3 hulls of the Eradicator built. Not one of them has got all the weapons on it yet. I'm not someone that saves tokens, and I'm not someone that's going to go out and coin the hull. I don't read the forums I don't go on Discord. All my information I get is from the guys that are on the panel here and other shows that I watch and other articles that I read, pages and whatnot.
And I would like to put a big disclaimer right here that just because we tell him stuff doesn't mean he listens to us. Because tell him he's going into a raid cycle and he chooses to ignore us. So it's not that we give bad advice. He just is hard-headed and doesn't listen to it. Okay,
yeah,
carry on.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, well, that's where I get my information from. And not everybody's got friends in the game like I do that do give you advice and show you the odd build or two or maybe all of them. And it would be really hard for someone who hasn't got that support. And I can just imagine, you know, I'm struggling. I'm going to be struggling through the whole raid. I don't even know whether I'll be able to do it, whether my ships are going to be finished, whether they're going to be ranked. I mean, some of them got a little bit of rank on it, but not very much. I can only imagine what it would be for someone of a little bit of a lower level, what the struggle would be, and why there is so many people leaving, and why there's no new blood coming up. So maybe that's something to think about. But sorry for derailing the whole thing. It's just while Shane said that, I thought I'd better put that in before I forget.
Well, if it helps you, there's a lot of people that are in that boat, and you see them a lot. So I think the raid just focusing on the raid part of it, a lot of people are going to, not have fully ranked ships because a lot of people went, okay, so, we know there's no VXP in the buildings, but you haven't done anything about that, and we refuse to pay for those, repair times. I looked at that and I started ranking my ships, and, I spend a little bit of money, but I looked at it and went, hang on a sec, this is going to cost me 2 raids worth to actually rank these things. So, no, I'm just not going to bother. But, I mean, there's ways around that, and I guess we'll just have to find those out as we always do. But I know...
but you could have picked up that awesome time-limited offer that came out right after VXP. You would have been paying like how many 100 gold to rank your ship, as opposed to if you would just buy the rank outright.
Yeah, they didn't put a lot of thought into that, but
anyway. I thought it was fun that like a lot of people didn't like notice how bad that shit was until then, and I'd been talking about that like 2 months ago on the hull builds and stuff.
Yeah. Anyway, so going back to the defense things, and this is opinion and just my opinion, but that whole post to me just made me think that they were crying victim. That, oh dear, these things have happened without any control of ours. Oh dear, we've put defense stats up to 99.9999999.3. And if you're not at 0.5, well, you're not going to have a good time. So I don't know where they're going to go with this. I read it and reread it, and it's like, okay, so we're going to transfer it over to the hull, and you're not going to see any extra repair time and all that sort of thing. But I don't know, just that whole post just made me think, oh, you poor little Didim. This, 99 resistance is all their design. It's, we haven't asked for it. We didn't make them do it. So, yeah, I don't know where they're going with that part.
It's kind of just a recent occurrence, ain't it? Ain't the Bat Rays and the Razor Tails the first ones that we were able to do the 99.999% and all that?
Where it really mattered, yeah. Because the Manticores certainly weren't like that. But, I mean, I guess we were getting...
I mean, why did they take the damage rating of the PvE so high like that? I mean, that's what it seems like to me. They really beefed up the damage from the weapons that they're using against us. So we had to, I mean, look at those hulls. They got 250% damage output on the hull. Okay. I mean, like you said, they did this. And the next question would be, why? Yeah. What the hell? I mean, why did you jump from tens to hundreds of thousands in one leap?
Well, and like on top of that, they try to pawn it off on like the old team, like they try to. I know they try to use GDR as their scapegoat a lot, but like these massive amounts of damage input and outputs both that we've been seeing lately all happened under wrong thinker. Because, like you said, the Bat Rays and the Razor Tails is where we really saw it start to be a great, big, huge thing. And it's like, you can't blame GDR for that shit, because that was all you, dude.
Yeah.
All you gotta do, lessen the damage. That way we can get defenses back down to a normal, reasonable thing. I mean, you already lock us out of hitting targets from the tier lock anyway. So it kind of doesn't matter if our if our Buccaneers can get a higher defense rating than the Eradicator, because you can't take the Buccaneers and the big targets anyway. So it doesn't matter. Yeah. Stop trying to reinvent the wheel.
Because I know, like, the other part that links into that is that, we had this massive refactor, which was, a lot of work, and they put a lot of time and effort into it, and meetings about meetings. And then, hang on a sec, here's your new armor with 750,000 points to it. So they've just, in after doing all of that work, here's a piece of armor that's going to take us back into massive numbers again, and all of a sudden we're going to be in the millions and billions again. And why did they do all that work if you're just going to put out a piece of armor that's leading down the same path? That does not make one little bit of sense to me at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. All they did was took all those big numbers that were in deflection and put them into health. That's what refactor was, apparently.
Yeah. And, so we know that the next piece of armor is going to have 1 million, and then the next piece of armor after that's going to have 1.5. And, by June 2019, we're going to be back in the 5 millions again. And it's like, that just, I don't get that. It just doesn't compute to me.
By that time, the team will be sacked, and some other clown with an even stupider idea will be in charge, and it'll continue into 2020.
And then, of course, it'll continue on the path where when this team leaves, they won't leave any documentation behind about what they did and why they did it, and certain things that they tried. It's like, oh, you can't do this because the code, blah, 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 blah. And we're going to have to, I know I have the same 7 conversations with every single team that they've ever had in there. The same 7 conversations every time a new team comes in, because no documentation is left behind and nobody has any clue what happened before them.
Yeah, definitely. Very good. So is there anything else you wanted to talk about that post? Or I know they're going to change the splash damage.
I guess splash was the other big thing.
Yeah.
For PvP, I'm happy that they're doing the splash changes. I'm not sure about PvE.
Again, it'll be in the delivery of how it all works, and I don't know. I know we talked about this the other night, and you were saying it's been broken forever. So, I don't know. To me, if you avoid something, you avoid it. So, and if you get hit by something, you get hit by something, and it's like a ripple effect. So, to me, that's how splash should work. But I don't know how changing that's really going to make an improvement to the way that we play, and the biggest issue being repair time. So it's, I don't know.
I don't know. I would have likened it to like a C4. If a whole block of C4 went off, I would want to be at the farthest edge of that explosion as possible, because I'd be taking the least amount of damage. And that's how splash should be. Not, I'm at the very outer edge of that explosion, and guess what? I'm taking just as much damage as the guy who's in the middle. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Well, if not more. I mean, didn't you say splash came a thing of its own? The bigger the splash, I mean, the more damage you had at the outside of it.
It definitely seemed to me like splash at some point became a whole different damage type, and not just based off of what the primary damage type was. Because I know for a fact, I saw onslaughts that couldn't get killed directly by mortar fire, but I've seen them be able to be splashed out by mortar fire. Explain to me how the fuck that happens.
Yeah.
So
wasn't there something similar with shockwave damage or something like that in the radioactive? That became a damage type by itself or something? Wasn't there something like that a while back?
It didn't grow out of nothing or anything. I think, because shockwave damage, you can increase that through the specials you add on there, and that, that's kind of a given innate thing. Everything's there. This right here is just splash, because I don't think those explosion things had a real big splash or anything like that to them.
Well, I think what Toxic was talking about, how when we got the radioactive deflection armor, we didn't know if that also shockwave or not.
Okay, yeah. On the defense side of it, there was an issue with that. It worked against the shockwave damage, which it wasn't supposed to. The radioactive defense or deflection, ain't that right?
I thought it worked against it because it was supposed to. Just people weren't sure. if they were two different, if it was the same damage or two different things.
Okay. Yeah.
But like, to me, logically, it should work against both of them because they're both radioactive. It might be a shockwave, but it's a radioactive shockwave, so that deflection should work against both of those values.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remembered there was something that was talked about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot of questions about that at that point in time, trying to figure out exactly what it worked for and what it didn't. Because I think originally it was called shockwave deflection armor, I think, and that's what threw people off.
Yeah. But apparently that's what they're fixing is the Beast of Splash, I guess.
But I'm like Ross did say something on Thursday that I totally agree with, that if them messing with Splash to get it under control in PvP screws up my PvE fleets and like how my fleet's working in the FM and shit, I'm gonna be way pissed.
Well, I mean, we already saw a bit of that with the FM changes, because it was last week when people were saying that Splash was what they were using to take out the turrets quicker because they couldn't kill the walls. So maybe they're already working on that. I'm not 100% sure. So it'll be interesting times ahead, basically, is going to be what we're going to be looking forward to next year. So,
yep.
All right. So, favorite hull?
I can give you my all-time favorite hull.
No.
My two all-time favorite hulls.
of this year.
I almost have to say the Razor.
Mm. Yeah, I know mine's the Razor, even though it's got the ridiculous defense that we were just talking about. For actual drivability, that has been, to me, the most fun hull this year. So while the defenses are an issue, the actual drivability and maneuverability, because I like to be able to zip around things, and also having a concussive weapon's always fun to me. Either ballistics or missiles is generally my favorite, so it's been pretty good that way.
I'd say bat rays because everybody got them.
Yep.
I think Bat Ray was probably the single fleet this year that kind of helped level out the playing field when it came to PvE. People who had been constantly behind were able to use that fleet that they got given to be able to catch up, get them stuff that will help them going into the current raid cycle probably. And I personally, just because of that, I think that was probably the best fleet this year.
Mm-hmm.
Skyfires was last year, Cuddle. We had Manticores this year. What's your favorite?
Yep.
Yeah, I'd have to say the Bat Rays been my favorite, my Apollo fleet, so to speak, of this year. It just sucks that they give all their ships looking 98 or 94 fucking range torpedoes. Being able to skirt those torpedoes, if they give them the 88 range that we had, would have made that fleet more rewarding to be able to skirt those fleets and drive them and kite like I designed my fleet to do.
Hey, I just realized I agreed with Toxic there. I meant Bat Rays too. What am I talking about? Sorry about that, Shane. Go for it.
Oh, no, that's it. I mean, it's like the Apollos. The Apollos were fun to drive. And I think right on that one, the ones went to wind-up speed.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, those were really a fun fleet back then, and that was that assault class. I mean, this is skirmish class, but it still is a fun packed up fleet to drive with, in fleet battles and stuff for me. But them like I say, cheating and giving themselves 94 range torpedoes, and that's what really causes the damage to this fleet. Really took away the rewarding aspect of being able to drive well.
Yeah.
Because I mean, what is that? 93 to 88. That only gives me 5 range in there. That would take some good driving to pull that off, and not get backed up and packed up against the walls and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the only part that really upset me about them doing their fleets against us. But other than that, yeah, it's been that's had to be my funnest driving fleet this year, even though I've gone for the 7 first months of this year. So
Let's go to the opposite side. What was your favorite PvP hull of this year? I know for me, probably that was probably the Siren. I like the Siren a lot.
You talking offense or defense or both?
Either. They're both PvP.
Yeah. Mine would probably be missile storm cruisers, because I did, as much as I don't do very much PvP, the bounties that I did do this year, I used them quite a lot, and to me it was a hull that I could like continually improve on and make it stronger, and I always like missile hulls, so that'd probably be my favorite.
yeah, I'm actually liking most of the defensive ships given out this year. Like you said, the Siren, but the Curator is good and the Wardens are good. As far as the flagships for defense, that's just, I don't know. I haven't been really impressed with them this year. But the regular defense hulls.
Me either. That's why I still have an Omni as my flag.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat. Now, as far as the offensive, I mean, the only really thing I had, like I said, I've been gone the first 7 months of this year. So I came in right at the corrosive stage of the PvP. So I'd have to say the Witch Doctors, because I used them along with the Sloths and everything until recently. But that kind of transferred straight over to the Breachers. That's kind of like the workhorses that still go along with them. I feel most comfortable is running the Witch Doctors with them, as far as hitting targets and such.
What about you, Talking?
Is the Hope a 2018 hull? It was 2017,
That
wasn't it?
was 2017. Typical Toxic, day late and a year short.
Yeah. Year and a day. I'd have to say Witch Doctors, yeah. And then maybe it'd be a toss-up. I mean, I didn't do much PvP. But yeah, Witch Doctors and or the new Breaches. They're good fun. They're awesome fun. I really like them.
Yeah.
It's almost have to favor the Breaches, even though they've only been out for like, a couple of months, a couple of weeks.
You res bandit, you.
Oh yeah. How good was that? It was just awesome.
It's a shame that they took it away from Snowfall, because that was really useful, using these PvP ships in Snowfall.
I'll agree with that.
Well, let's look at the other side of the coin. What hull of 2018 did you hate the most? I know for me, Proto Apollos. Saw absolutely no purpose for them in the game whatsoever.
Mine still aren't built, so I guess that says a lot. But yeah, those and the Proto-Sense, it's just like, I feel sorry for anyone who went out and, went absolutely crazy to get either of those fleets built. And then, yeah, they haven't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't. I didn't even get, or I don't think I got the Proto-Sense, but I've never even built any of those Proto hulls.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it was totally ridiculous idea to give us ships to build because you wanted to put in SSRBs. and just change fundamental parts of the game without even thinking about what the hell you're doing. Because in those dubs and draconian bases were blueprints for people's bases from baby stage up. You know, I've said that quite a bit, I know, but that's where they were, and they could get them at any time whenever they growed up enough to be able to hit those targets. Which, I mean, the base parts from the draconian bases was cool. I mean, I loved them whenever they was the 4-player targets that we could all go into and, you know, bang and blang with it, use sub decoys and just work all that stuff out, hitting the side targets. I mean, that was a good cooperative target, but they changed it to what it was, and that was cool in the end. You know, or what was it, ironclads? Could walk those with the single one, you know, just to go out and get base parts from fleets they give out. And then the SSR or the dubs, those paid out uranium, and those got easily enough to do. And you got the next grade of upgrades for your base. I think the ZU2 come out of that, depleted shells or something. I mean, it's like a standard piece for your base. And, you know, and they just take that stuff out without even realizing what they're doing. Because I think I've seen them offer the platform M one time somewhere. I mean, to be honest, that's a standard part for your base. You need it for missiles. That's the only thing that gives your freaking range to your missiles in your base, is that one in particular special. And they just, like you said, they're coming in and changing the game. They take stuff out, and for some new wave reason, because they're young and brilliant, and don't even think about what they're messing with. And they're changing what this game is, and they need to watch it because they don't even know the goose egg they got, the golden egg, you know, whatever.
I think they know the goose egg they have. I don't think they know
the goose egg that they're turning it into. You know, I mean, they need to pay attention.
Yeah, they know the goose egg. They don't know the potential for the golden goose egg.
Well, it was here. It's been here. That's what we all fell in love with. And I mean, they just keep doing stuff without thinking of what the hell they're affecting in the environment of this platform, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know there was the big R&D issue too, that suddenly all of us, you know, the people that still needed to do their R&D, you know, just couldn't do it. It was just like, oh, well, sorry about that. Yeah, we didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we've got to come around and come up with some fix for it. And it's like, well, if you hadn't have fucked with it, it probably would have been okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess in theory they fixed it when they gave everybody a free bat ray fleet, huh?
Well, yeah. I still would have preferred the tokens, but that's just me.
What do you call the fleet that we did the expedition with?
Oh, yes, that's got to be the biggest failure.
Yeah, how good a fleet was that?
I think they were 2017, though, weren't they?
Were they? I thought it was early 18.
All the generalist fleets for the expeditions.
Yeah, well, that's my biggest flop, I reckon. Built that thing, never worked, and scrapped it. That was an awesome fleet.
And you could even get the flag for it too, which improved them so much.
Which I did. I got the flag and built it.
So did I. So did I.
Let's not talk about fleets that we built and then scrap because they suck, because I could go on for a while with just monoliths themselves. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 times I built those things and then scrapped them.
Yeah, I enjoyed monos. I did quite well with monos.
Yeah, I still actually use my monos. 2 Zelos, 3 monos, and walk the 111s for. I mean, that's my res fleet. I can do that target for no damage, and it pulls me in 500% of the 26 million. So, not quite the 150 that you usually bring in with current fleets, but it's a good res fleet, and you know, for that.
I don't know. I certainly use those 2 for my FM. You know, if I'm going for the ridiculous 15 million that we need for the FM because it's not a weekly raid. But you know, when the Inferno Dragons are repairing or whatever, I can still go out and get some points that way. So yeah, I still use them. They're still a good fleet to me.
So I know we're going to have one more no quarter before the end of the year. So you guys should spend the next week, I think, thinking about things that you would like to see them do in 2019 that would really improve the game for the player community at large.
Sounds like a good plan because I thought this would be the last one for the year.
Nope,
but I guess it's not.
29th. Yeah, the 29th is next week, so we'll still be able to do it then.
Okay. Well, that sounds good because I'd kind of like to finish the year looking forwards rather than looking backwards. So that's probably
try to have some optimism looking forwards because looking backwards is not going to be anything but pessimism.
Yeah.
Send them all a Colt 45 and have them draw up against each other. That'd be fun.
That's a bit harsh.
That's why the Kicks guys don't talk to you.
That's all right. I don't mind.
Disclaimer, that was all toxic. I had nothing to do with that statement.
It's true.
And he lives at
Australia.
I know you guys do have a corporate office down there in Australia, so feel free to send an enforcer to his house.
Got any jobs going?
Funnily enough, we're going to hire a new... I won't say that.
I know Will Harmon said he believes in personal security very firmly, so maybe he can send Toxic a visit.
Yeah, maybe I could be the janitor, get rid of all the... I could be the janitor, get rid of all the crap.
Okay, very good. All right,
enough of that.
Anyway, enough of that. So next week, or in the next week, we've still got, what do they called it? Crampocalypse or something?
I don't know.
So,
I have
Crampocalypse. Like, I guess they spelled it with a K for cram. I don't know. Cramming for the finals or whatever. Crampocalypse. Sounds like they were wanting to give us a big old cramp. I don't know.
Yeah.
Cramp. But that don't sound too fucking friendly to me, so I don't know.
Well, I don't know. After
it's gonna be a pain in the ass, a raid with no half repair, and just gonna have to get some stupid thing that we're gonna have for the first raid coming out of the new session. So I don't know. I'm not thrilled.
So definitely no half repair.
There hasn't been one yet for one of these holiday events that's supposed to be fun and relaxing and enjoyable. No, it's something that you have to do because lo and behold, you're going to need that piece of equipment that they're offering.
Yeah, anybody who says that these holiday events have been trivial and not essential doesn't play the game. Pure and simple.
That's all I got to say about that.
Well, I guess we'll be seeing those siege targets again. Is that what we're thinking? Or do you think it'll be a complete standalone thing like the Flying Dutchman?
Well, the Krampus thing, I'm sure will probably have something to do with bat rays and razor tails. They wouldn't do anything for eradicators already.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'd be willing to bet the farm on that. I don't have a farm, but if I had a farm, I'd be willing to bet it on it.
It'd be the flagship weapon.
Yeah. So, what did we use for the Flying Dutchman again? All I remember is going around.
Razor tails and bat rays.
Okay. Yeah. So it would probably make sense that that's what we're going to use. So Anyway, so I guess we'll find out on Wednesday because it starts on Thursday. So.
I got it on good authority. You won't be going round and round and round. It'll be a figure 8 this time.
Ah, cool.
Now, see, what would be
That's
cool?
the crisscross traffic.
What would be cool is if instead of a Flying Dutchman, we had like Santa on his sled with some reindeer, and we would just
Honey
go
Mountain.
around in circles and kill them. Just saying.
Yeah.
Little elf gunboat ships.
Pew pew.
Laying mines, you little bastard. I don't want that gift. I better have brought submersible weapons.
Oh, there you go. You could have like what was the ones that we used Phoenix and Skyfires for? So you'd have Rudolph. So Santa can be on the big Rudolph ship, and the elves can be on the little gunboat drones coming out of there.
Fucking laying them mine things. Fucking stupid. You can't shoot them. They got elfin magic. You little bastards. Come here.
And we'll be driving lumps of coal.
Because we've been bad.
All right. Anyway, this is probably a good place to wrap this one because it's going down.
Going south quick. Guess where I'm at? I'm in Texas. As far south you can get.
Hang on a sec. I'm more south than you, buddy.
Next thing you know, we're all going to get up and walk away for a beer, and nobody will be here talking. It'll be terrible. So let's just wrap it.
Cool. All right. Well, hopefully we've talked about something that's been good this week. I hope so. You can like and share the video and come and join us for the last show next week if you want. So
tune in while you watch a bunch of dejected, depressed battle pirates try to be positive. That should be a good time.
Well, having said that, though, it could be that the Krampus event is absolutely awesome, and we could be raving about it. Think about that.
Have you ever played this game? Have you ever played this game?
No.
I'll say, but maybe you should be the new CM.
You never know. We might be surprised.
I'll hear about that one. Sorry, Chris.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll catch you all later, I guess. And good luck for the rest of Bounty. I'm going to click that button in a minute and go and hit some targets for something to do. So, yeah. And, hopefully the Olympics is good fun.
Yep, we'll have cramps. It's funny though, because like wasn't the whole purpose of these holiday events to replace Bounty, which we weren't doing, and this month we end up with both of them. So this month we basically have 3 fucking raids.
Yeah.
Not counting the mini raids that the FMs have turned into. Anyway, whatever.
And the TLCs.
And
the VXP weekend. That's right. There'll be eight events a month before we know it. But anyway.
Yeah, two raids a week.
Yeah, good idea. All right. See you all later. Thanks for joining us.
Subscribe and send your friends to the page.
Oh, and Merry Christmas, because that'll happen too. So Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho.
All right.
Oh, you're not allowed to say that anymore. Sorry. That's being sexist, isn't it?
All right. Anyway, we're out of here. Later, guys.
Push the button.